Hi, we're talking about Your Money Matters on NDTV Profit, and my name is Alex Matthew. As I speak to you, I'm speaking to you on a day when the rupee has hit a fresh all-time low. And this is something that you've probably read as a headline in the recent past. We're trudging towards that 91 level per USD, per dollar. And this is something that you've seen consistently over a period of time. It's not like every year you have a certain amount of depreciation. Of course, if you average it over the course of 20, 25 years, it'll emerge to about 3% or thereabouts, which is quite considerable. So from that lens, is it possible to utilize this? Is it possible to guard against this? Well, the only way would be to invest in dollar assets. And a lot of people have been doing that either through investments in mutual funds that invest abroad or using the LRS, which is the liberalized remittance route. But the question is, how many people are doing this and what's the quantum of investment? Where are they choosing to invest? These are questions that I want to ask to Viram Shah, who's the founder and chief executive officer of Vested Finance. It's a global investing platform. Viram, thanks so much for taking the time and for speaking to me today. You've just released a report, your first report of this kind, which talks about all of what I've been asking. So first, let me ask you about the quantum as things stand right now of individual investors investing abroad.
Yes, firstly, hi Alex, thank you for having me here. And maybe a 10-seconder on Vested before we get going. So we've been around for now 6 years and on a mission to connect India to the world. That's what we want to do. So we run two businesses, which is Indians wanting global access and folks internationally wanting access to India. Now, the first one, which is Indians wanting global access, is kind of been the core business that we've been working on. And today, more than 10,000 crores that people have invested through us in the international markets. And it's been a very interesting, evolving space, Alex. So when we started off, about 400 million on a yearly basis used to get invested internationally from India. Today, that has reached about 1.6 billion. And this is not just an India phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon where a lot of people are wanting access to international assets beyond just their domestic markets.
Interesting. Okay, so the quantum is quite substantial, but you've actually done some digging and you've tried to find out how many people, what is the demographic of people investing and what is the kind of instrument that they're choosing. So first, where are these people coming from? The logical or the natural way of thinking, Viram, would be that people that are more savvy would be in your city centers, your metropolitan regions. Is that the case?
So surprisingly, actually, when we were preparing this report, we were also pleasantly surprised to see the actual data. While, like you said, the majority are from kind of tier 1 metro cities, about 53%, but the rest actually come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So we are seeing a sort of widespread kind of phenomenon where, and I think that's largely, if you ask me, is largely to do with the internet, right? Because information is universal through the phone now. So everybody knows of global companies. Everybody aspires of wanting to own global companies. So we saw that, investors across the country, across 140 cities, were using the Vested platform to invest internationally.
Okay, that's really interesting. And what is the quantum that we're talking about? Are we talking about significant sums of money that individuals are putting in, or is it, and you pointed out the entire money that's being transacted through Vested, right? So you started out at a certain level and you've gone much higher. But what is the quantum that individuals are starting with and what they end up with?
So today on our platform, the average portfolio size is about $10,000. So that's about 9 lakh rupees. Now, that is relatively high, but that average gets skewed because of two types of customers, right? So we have the high net worth customer, and their average account size is $40,000 to $50,000. So they are taking significant exposure internationally. But then you also have the retail customer, which is a smaller customer, which is approximately 80% of our customer base. And they have an average account size of $2,000, so 1.5 lakh rupee. And if you think about it, of course, this is not their full portfolio. This is not even majority because they're largely all majority in India. But this is about 20 to 30% of their portfolio. And so, their average portfolio size may be 5 lakhs. They have 2 lakhs worth of international investment through us. If you're retail, or if you're HNI, you would have a bigger 30, 40 lakh portfolio with us.
And is this primarily equity investing, Viram?
It's large. So far, largely actually, because of the way our platform was also structured, we provided US stocks and ETFs. That was the first product. Now it has evolved. Now it is slowly evolving. Till now, still the majority of the portfolio is US stocks and ETFs. But now we have added funds, which includes kind of fixed income opportunities, which includes alternatives as well. So it's evolving. But yeah, till now, largely, in fact, US equity, if you look at it, but that will also change in the future.
But is that because of products that you are offering? I'm just wondering whether your peers might offer, and of course, there are various ways that Indians can invest in global stocks, ETFs, etc. They can go through brokers that have a partner abroad, etc., right? But what I'm trying to get is, what are they investing in? Are they investing in stocks? Are they investing in ETFs? How does it work? And is it primarily US based? Are they more open to a South Korea? Are they more open to a Japan or a Hong Kong? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yes, so today, as per the current portfolio mix, about 40-50% is in stocks, about 25% is in ETFs. So it's a mix. We've seen that two-thirds of our customer base has both. So they have stocks and ETFs both. And they take concentrated positions in stocks. So the average stock, number of stocks one owns is about 7 to 8, right? So they have some conviction and they invest in those stocks. Otherwise, people pick index ETFs, they pick themes like semiconductor ETFs is one popular aspect. Now, on our platform, largely because we've been focusing on the US markets, it's deployed in the US stock and ETF universe. But we have increasingly seen customers asking us, can you open up the Hong Kong market for us? Can you open up Japan, Singapore, Korea, like you mentioned? So that is going to be a focus for us in the next year or so to open it up, because there is a lot of interest beyond the US as well.
Okay. When you're talking about stocks that people invest in, and there's a lot of interest in companies like NVIDIA or in certain other stocks that are listed in the US, and Amazon and your FANG stocks are pretty much what everyone was speaking about a few years ago, but now everyone's talking about NVIDIA and certain other AI related stocks, right? So what are the popular stocks that people are looking at on your platform?
Yeah, so by far the number one for a long period of time was Tesla, actually.
Okay.
And beyond all of the tech companies, it was very surprising for us to see that. And now the rise of Nvidia has truly been phenomenal. It has also now come up in the top one or two stocks in the last 2 years, I think. Beyond that, it's the larger tech companies that you would imagine. But what's very interesting, Alex, is in the last 2 years, so since we started, people were initially just getting started investing internationally. And now over the last 2 years, they have started to look beyond the top 10 max 7 tech companies as well. And they're starting to look at, okay, what are mid caps in the international markets that we can also look at? And they're starting to do research. So some of of course, these are larger names that come up in the top 10, but we have Broadcom, we have Palantir that have also started coming up. We have Coinbase. So not just the max 7 Tesla, Nvidia. What's interesting to see is now there is more and more expansion happening in terms of the universe of stock ownership that we see.
Very interesting. And what about the ETFs? Are people gravitating towards your NASDAQ and your S&P 500?
Not so much. So 1/4 we saw was in index ETFs, the S&P and NASDAQ. But beyond that, we saw a lot of thematic interest. So we saw thematic interest in semiconductors as an industry. We saw thematic index in, for example, a strategy, right? High dividend yield ETFs. So because those kind of products are available, people are taking advantage of that as well. So we saw thematic interest in, for example, an AI ETF as well. So they're looking at index, but it's not as one would imagine that it's the majority. It's actually only 1/4. Beyond that is more thematic exposure that people are wanting to take.
Okay. What about the age of the people that are investing? Is that a slightly more knowledgeable, older investor, or are young people flocking to your platform?
So what we have seen is that, and that data sort of corroborates this as well, is that age is not necessarily the best indicator. It's actually how financially educated one is. You could be a 25-year-old who has already started investing 5 years back and then now is looking at, okay, what can I do internationally? Or you could even be a 55-year-old who has been building their portfolio over time and now wants to invest internationally. the sort of median or average on our platform tends to be relatively older versus the kind of demographic of India. So we see about 35 to 45-year-olds as our core demographic, because I think that's when you do have some additional investment capital to deploy abroad as well. But it's a wide range with sort of younger folks now getting more and more interested in owning global technology companies, plus older folks as well looking at how can we diversify beyond the rupee so that we can have a global sort of holding in our asset base as well.
I do want to ask about that 10 lakh threshold. It applies to you as well through your platform, right? You cross that 10 lakh mark for the liberalized remittance scheme, and you have to have tax collected at source?
Correct.
So how does that work? Explain it.
So essentially, there is a TCS, so a tax collection at source, that applies after you remit or you send money internationally, and could be for anything, could be for travel, education. Investing is one of the purposes. So beyond 10 lakhs, 20% of it. So if you, let's say, remit 20 lakhs, on the differential 10 lakhs, 2 lakhs will be collected as TCS, which essentially is a way of collecting advance tax. So you can get refunds if whenever you're filing, if you're due a refund, and those are processed now pretty quickly, what we've seen. Or if you file, let's say, quarterly advance taxes, you can offset this tax that you have collected here through the remittance route. It used to be 7 lakhs. The threshold got increased to 10 lakhs recently, and we'll see now how this evolves.
Just so, therefore, just from the standpoint of my viewers understanding this, if you breach that mark, then on an incremental basis, you will have to put 20% of whatever you invest into TCS, or rather you will collect it, right, as a platform.
So the banks collect it.
Oh, the banks collect it. Okay.
Yes. It's on the incremental amount beyond 10 lakhs.
Understood. Okay, but do you see that as something that, and it changed from 7 lakh to 10 lakh not too long back, right?
Yes, very recently it changed to 10 lakhs.
Yeah.
And I think it's evolving. So I think, the government is looking at how this is playing out across certain landscapes. I think it got instituted from the point of view that, people were just remitting money, but their income tax filings did not have the commensurate amount of income. And so to plug that gap, this was introduced.
Yeah.
But I think as data is coming in, this has been evolving over the last couple of years.
Interesting. So a couple of factors have worked in your favor as a facilitator here. One is, of course, the mutual fund limits that have not gone anywhere, and the fact that this limit on the TCS has also been raised. But I think the interest that a lot of people have to diversify their investment portfolios is certainly boding well for the future of the Indian investor. Thanks so much, Viram, for taking the time. Absolute pleasure speaking with you.
It was great to be here. Thank you for having me here.